Welcome back to the court. In the next case, plaintiff Chromastone is sued defendant A.S.K for slander and harassment in his last Omniverse Redesigns video. We now go to the Honorable Judge Alien X. Order in the court. We meet again, A.S.K. Yes, Your Honor. It's good to— Silence! You know how many times I've fought to keep you from getting cancelled? Do you? I think that's a great point, Your Honor. This insolent man has done nothing but tarnish my name on his supposedly funny or interesting YouTube channel. Frankly, the only thing funny is how he has like 2 character stills, and one of them is drinking wine and smoking a cigar. How cliche! Hey, at least my design's actually improved. You look like you got spikes coming out of your— Enough! Both of you may sit quietly as your attorneys carry on with this case. Speaking of, let us introduce our 2 attorneys. Yes, Your Honor. I'll be handling my client's arguments from now on. I am rather eager to win this case on rather personal grounds. Great. Very well. And A.S.K, who have you chosen as your attorney? I think choose is the wrong word, sir. What are you talking about, dude? Let's kick some shell! Objection, Your Honor. I propose that if A.S.K thinks my client's redesign is so bad, that he make an entire video praising my client to simply compensate the past slander. That's completely unreasonable, Your Honor. I only make videos on things I believe in. How could I defend something I hate? Yeah, Mr. Alien X dude, there's no way you can do that. Do you have a counter option? Yeah, we can make a video on that chick and how ugly she is. Hey! Not helping, Mikey. Your Honor, I propose I make a counter video listing my top 5 favorite redesigns so some other aliens can get some love. That does sound intriguing. Say, will I be in that video? Well, he'll put you in the thumbnail. Will he now? Oh yeah, he put me in one too. Very well then. I always enjoy a bit of undeserved publicity. My verdict is, the defendant shall make the top 5 best Omniverse redesigns to prove he's an unbiased reviewer, because, to be fair, Chromastone's redesign does kinda stink. Thank you. Hey! That is all. Court adjourned. Alright then, let's start with number 5. Ladies and jellyfish, welcome back to A.S.K. Time to jump back into the world of Omniverse redesigns, and this time, count down the top 5 best redesigns among the bunch. This is not based on the best designs in the Omniverse period, rather the greatest improvement evident as opposed to their classic or UAF counterparts. If you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to subscribe, and check out my other 3 videos on this topic. Let's jump into it. Wrath's redesign from UAF to Omniverse actually comes to represent exactly what a redesign is meant to do. Almost nothing. Smooths out the edges, and adds slight alterations that make it look a bit more slick, like fixing the color surrounding the eyes and bulking him up slightly. This is a minimalist approach that I wish more aliens adopted, unlike embarrassments like Chromastone, which just exaggerate everything to oblivion. The design for Wrath takes an incredibly simple approach, and doesn't feel like it needs to alter something so close to perfection. Just adjust it to match Omniverse's curvature and overall theme, and keep the shaman accessories the same. And I'm not talking about the alternate versions of him, where he's wearing this idiotic green outfit. I'm talking about the plain and simple Wrath. At least they didn't give him a pair of tidy whities to wear like they did to my boy the Worst. Now, Edel is where things get a little interesting. To start off with the Ultimate Alien Force design, it's probably the most robotic looking alien outside of maybe Echo or Clockwork, and we see a lot of metallic elements here. Edel feels very mechanical, and when he eats stuff to get power, you feel like he has to really crunch the materials up inside him, almost like he's the trash compactor for Monsters Inc. He has these metal hands, the bear trap looking mouth, and the laser shooter. It's just a line that shoots a streak of energy. Nothing really out of the ordinary or creative if you ask me. The colors also feel rather muted, and offer nothing visually appealing. Omniverse takes all that and fortunately flips it on its head, sort of like what Vilgax did to Edel in his UAF appearances. Edel now actually looks like, you know, a beetle. The whole point of the pun? He loses the metallic sheen and is replaced by a nice organic alien look, giving him a big signature Omniverse underbite and making him a bit rounder in shape. He has spikes coming out of his arms and legs now, like an actual beetle, and his underside is now green. Not gonna lie, the green is probably the only part I ditch for something a bit cooler, but I guess a formula's a formula. By far the best part of this redesign though has to be the laser shooter, which is now pointing up, with a round spiral that collects a ball of energy and shoots it in a straight line. It all just makes more sense for this alien and seems like something that the UAF team would have just polished down to if given more time to really go through all the concept art sufficiently, which they probably didn't get a chance to do, judging by the mediocre result of the first one. Not a major rehaul with this one, but I absolutely adore the redesign for Brainstorm. You'll already know how much I dislike the green color scheme, but here it actually works to absolute perfection. First off, the UF design is pretty standard for the concept, but doesn't stray far from the crab idea at all to explore the other aspects of this alien. The body proportions feel a bit strange in some of the earlier episodes, and it just feels like a really fragile alien with a really lopsided center of mass. The silver color around his waist does look slick, but the green somehow improves it in my eyes. Maybe it's because it makes him less slim and a bit more chunky, which makes it actually look like a torso and not a a stretched out neck. The Omniverse version also sticks his eyes to the top of his head, just a small touch that totally works for the character. I think a way they could have improved this one even more was to add a few shades of black in the center of the face, and maybe even double up the eyes. For reference, the artist Vic Lency drew something similar, and I think it would totally fit within Ben 10 while improving the face aspect immensely. The diamond shape of the head also strangely works, as evident in the Avengers battle when he basically uses his head as a battering ram, and the green streak just fills out that empty space on his brain part. Definitely an improvement in all the right areas.
Make you smile once more.
The only non-alien on this list, who I also mentioned was my favorite design of all time in my second video in the series. I gotta run that back, because obviously I put it as number 2 in today's video. I still think one alien deserves that numero uno spot more than the old professor, but I absolutely adore Paradox's redesign. Having his design mature and age along with the character's seniority in the show, so to speak, was definitely a good idea. Unlike Wrath, who didn't really need much change, Paradox was way too simple from the start in terms of his clothing. And that makes sense, because especially in his premiere episode, he was way too vague to walk around with all his drip on. His lab coat now has these brown and gold trims on it, and he wears his signature metal gauntlet. He still has his goggles, but they've been modified to be single-eye wears, which I think looks much better and slicker when he has them on. They've also aged him up quite a bit. Now his hair is gray, and he has more wrinkles on his face. Now he actually looks like, you know, who he says he is, an old wise professor who was locked in eternity for 100,000 years. The redesign allowed him to look more wise, old, and badass with his abilities, which are all things you gotta appreciate with this amazing character. Before we get to number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Water Hazard is one of my favorite designed aliens in both versions, mind you. The ride is absolutely gorgeous, and they loved it so much they even rehashed it with Overflow in the reboot. This would have been my number 6 on this list because it changes a few little things like the eye shape, giving him the mask, and adding the little Echo disc on his body, which totally make this one a positive change. A.S.K only appears once in the classic series and once in the movie, so it's safe to say that this is pretty obviously going to be improved upon. But the Omniverse design for A.S.K totally fixes the droopy bug-like aspects of the original, makes him a bit bulkier, and ditches the black and white pants for the black pants and green cuffs look, which looks a lot more slick in my eyes, even though I think black and white usually works better. I just wish they would have kept the permanent big eye in the middle of the chest. And the number 1 best redesign to come out of Omniverse is undoubtedly Jury Rig. Now, in all fairness, this one did have a bit of an advantage because of the absolutely horrendous original product, but the redesign leaves very few nitpicks to be said, so I decided that it was worth the number 1 spot. If you think that's a bit biased, consider Paradox number 1, but for today I think this works. Back to Jury Rig, there's a lot to admire here. The original is just a really ugly demon. He has bright red skin, a creepy face, including his lack of pupils, his pointy nose, and the grotesque body shape. I don't know what they were thinking when they finalized this design, because it works on absolutely no level. Maybe the alien evolved from a creepy, destructive alien into a cute, funny one, but that's entirely my guess. Either way, this design is horrendous and something that should not have come out of Ben 10. Omniverse starts off by changing his skin tone to a more friendly dark pink. We actually clothe him, giving him a beautiful green and black jumpsuit with the little Snoopy cap on, and even the Paradox goggles. I wish he had those on permanently, or sort of switched them on when he was working like Accelerate's mask. His face remains creepy, but adds pupils to his eyes, and fixes up the nose to look a bit more comedic rather than pure creepy. You also gotta love the little white handkerchief he has around his neck all the time. Just little touches like that are what make me happy. Overall, a great improvement to this alien that fixes all the issues the original presented. And that was all the top 5 best Omniverse redesigned characters. What do you think? Who would be your top 5? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you need to refresh your memory on all the redesigns or see my bottom 5, you can find all my other videos on this topic in the description below and card above. And with all that said, I'll see you in the next one.